Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Between Two Friends. Of course, I'm Brett Tremblay, and today I have a really interesting guest, and I'm just finally excited to talk sports with somebody, if nothing else. But Rob Stolker, thank you so much for joining us. Rob, you have a fascinating story, and you're number one best-selling author. So let's jump into it. What were you doing before Hummingbird Sports, and what happened? Like, where did this come from? Why did you go down the journey?
Soon after I graduated college, I was given a great opportunity with a bunch of my friends to be the first ever day traders, and we eventually built our own trading floor. And um, we had a lot of fun, and it was great. And then I started a solar panel company. I did some real estate, but none of it. I was never passionate about anything that I was doing, and I always wanted to really be passionate about what I was doing. Those were businesses that I ran, and it was all good. I'm
Right.
very blessed, very fortunate. I have four amazing daughters, high school, college age. My wife and I and all our family, very, very blessed and fortunate. And I don't mean to take that lightly, but I just never found a passion. And then my all four of my girls play sports. I coach them and everything. Again, very lucky that I had the time and patience to do that. I say patience because I tell people that ironically, I'm the least patient person in the world, and the only place that I was patient was coaching, kids sports.
Interesting.
But then my two youngest asked me to play lacrosse. I grew up in Center City, Philadelphia, didn't know anything about lacrosse, and I said, of course, another sport I'd love to learn. I got a call the next day from the high school coach who saw that I signed up my daughters, and she asked me to run the whole program. She said, "You're great. You'll be great. The parents love you. The girls love you. Obviously it's a volunteer job. You'll be great." And I said, "I don't know anything whatsoever about the game. I know nothing about the game." "That's okay. We'll figure it out. I'll teach you, and we'll learn." I was like, "No." So she signed me up to be an assistant coach for both my daughters. But I got to the field, and the boys were on one field wearing big hard helmets, and the girls were on another wearing nothing on their heads. Same sticks, rock hard ball. And I started asking questions, and it was right there on that field that none of the answers were good. And that was 7 years ago. 7 years later, none of the answers I'm getting are good. So it took us 3 years. We made the first ever headgear. There was a standard put in, calling for soft headgear
Wow.
to withstand that stick and rock hard ball. So not an easy standard to meet, and a lot went into
Yeah.
this. I made the first ever headgear, and been running with it ever since.
So a lot to unpack here. But what I was reading, just before in your book, you said that high school girls lacrosse has the second highest incident of concussions of any sport.
When we talk about concussions and head injuries, there's no studies that is this is the study, this is the way it is. First of all,
Okay.
most of them go unreported.
Yeah.
Anybody who's played sports, been around sports, knows kids, most of them go unreported.
Yeah.
So that's number one. There's going to be no data and facts about it. It's just the premise that we should protect first. But yes, there are two major studies which shows girls lacrosse is the second highest concussion sport to football at the high school level. And that's, I when those are the things that when I see that and ask the question of why they're not wearing, I don't get any good answers.
I keep picturing at the end of Mean Girls, Regina George is running through, channeling her energy, playing lacrosse, just knocking people over left and right. I mean, look, you grew up in Philly, you said, and to me, lacrosse is a Northeast sport, but you didn't even know about it. So the amount of people that really get and understand lacrosse is probably, 1 out of 10, if that. But it's a rough sport. I mean, it's physical out there.
I just want to make sure that everybody knows also that the boys and girls games are different.
Okay.
And that's one of the arguments against. Is the boys game is very physical. They wear big hard helmets. They knock each other down. It's a very physical game. The boys game. The girls game traditionally has been not as physical, more free flowing. But these girls are getting bigger, strong in a great way, faster, more intense. I love all that part of it. My four girls, No, the sports they play and the intensity they play with, I love it. I absolutely love. I have three older sisters that I grew up with. I've seen how women's sports has evolved. We have a long way to go, really
Yeah.
long way to go, but we've come a long way. I can tell you that firsthand from my eyes. And they're putting in rules to allow light checking in the girls' game. They're speeding up the game like they're speeding up everything. And our number one argument always has been accidents happen. And that's how most of the girls that I've talked to who just it's just one single accidental ball or stick to their head and they're impacted for years, if not forever. I have 22, 24-year-old girls who took a ball to the head 6 years earlier, are still struggling, and just flat out admit and know that they're going to struggle for the rest of their lives.
Well, that's crazy. I played high school football. I remember catching a ball over the middle one time, and as I'm coming down, the safety, helmet to helmet, right back here, and my whole body just kind of went numb for a second, and I kind of like went to the sideline and tried to shake it off, and I think I was right back in there because you don't want to miss plays, and it's like when I think about the feeling associated, I can still kind of feel the effect a little bit. So everyone's affected differently, and nobody really knows. Like you said, there's so many studies, but they're all so new. And how do you study a brain, right? Because CTE, like
Absolutely.
you have to wait until unfortunately somebody passes away, and I don't know. There's a lot to talk about here. So is that where the book "It's a No-Brainer" came from? Tell us about the book.
Absolutely. So I had all these girls and parents and coaches who were on board with this movement to get headgear in the game. The state of Florida mandated. Their board there just had enough of it and said, we're going to mandate that every girl in Florida at the high school level wears. And there's programs all over the country that are doing it. And it's coming. It's definitely coming. And it just, unfortunately, even this positive change takes time. And so part of what I knew I had to do was to put all the information together. Here's all the science. Here's all the girls' stories. And I did that. And I gave it to my inner circle of 10, 20 people and asked them to read it. And the feedback I got across the board was, it's good. I see what you did. You put everything in there that everybody asked you to do, the girl stories, but you could do so much more. You have such a great story. And the story is so much more than about girls lacrosse headgear. It's about doing something. It's about seeing something. It's about not accepting answers that are not acceptable. And that's the story that I've told. And people really appreciate it. And it's been great. It's all the people who reach out and thank me for what I'm doing. And the girls I know, I've saved so many girls with the headgear that I made. That's very humbling. I almost feel selfish.
No, that's got to be an incredible feeling. And with Title IX, I would assume you can tell me that lacrosse, girls lacrosse is going to continue to just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. As universities, of course, have to have women's sports, but it seems like the popularity is on the increase quite a bit.
It's a great game. Lacrosse is a great game. Girls, boys lacrosse, they're two great games. Whatever you play, whatever you do it with passion. And we're on lacrosse fields all the time. The girls do have passion. We're just saying, as the governing body of lacrosse, U.S. lacrosse, mandate headgear, do the right thing, and get all these girls' heads protected, and the game won't change. And so after I wrote my book in October, U.S. lacrosse put out a press release basically 2 weeks later, and it said about Rob Stoker's book, It's a No-Brainer. And what somebody said in some sort of writing about the book was that I alleged venomous resistance from U.S. lacrosse and insiders. And so they said that that's a false allegation. It's not false. They know the resistance and the venom that I've gotten and this headgear continues to get on fields. And then they put two pieces of science in that were completely outdated. And I took that press release about my book and I blasted it to all my coaches, athletic directors that I have, and said, A, I stand 100% by everything in my book. And B, look how outdated what they're saying in this article is. And then within 2 months in January, they put out a preliminary study that said head injuries go down with the use of headgear and the game doesn't change with the use of headgear. So if those two things are there, what are we talking about?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's big business, big politics. I think that's everything. Change is slow to come and then all at once. But Tell me about the business side. So at the Tremblay Law Firm, we represent business owners, and we're passionate about protecting, you know, the creators, right? The innovators, and that's exactly your story. So Hummingbird Sports, you guys sell directly to school districts, you do retail, you do it all. What's your business model and strategy there?
We are as grassroots gets in every way. We are a startup company who also is opening up a market. That is what this is from the business side of it. There obviously before we made a first ever headgear, not one girl, well, there was no such thing. So the first one of ours on a field was the first one ever out there. There's somewhere around 400,000 girls registered to play across the country. The people who know me and know what this was and know that it took me 3 years and a lot of time and money to make our first model, and anybody knows what making a product is that we could have never made this product and passed these tests, and that would have been a lot of money out, and still market has not developed the way that we had hoped and wanted it to. But our patents are unbelievable. I have some just great people who are on board with the mission, and obviously I want to protect these girls' heads, and that's why I'm doing this. But of course, there's the business side of it, and it's a lot of passion and a lot of people's hard work and energy, and I get told on a daily basis how it shows.
Of course. Now, the patent side's a whole different conversation. That's a mission. And if you've never gone through it before, some people are a bit surprised at how expensive it is and how detailed. It is kind of a crazy process. So I admire you for going down that road and getting it done. And, when you're trying to patent something, you have to pour in all this money to an idea, really before you have a business, because if you're out there selling before you protect the things, you're putting your company at risk. So there's a lot that goes into it, Rob, and I admire you and everything you're doing. So what is next for you? Are you still coaching your girls teams? How old are they? And as we wrap up the interview here, tell us what the next 3 to 5 years looks like for you.
Yeah, so I'm done coaching. My youngest is now in high school, playing high school sports, playing AAU basketball. So I am just in that way. I'm just being a dad now. I was heavily involved. My girls were young. I was the vice president of HYAA, our local sports organization. I rewrote bylaws and basketball laws, and I coached all my girls. As far as coaching, I'm done coaching. From the day that I left, people started telling me I was going to miss it. I can tell you, I don't miss it. I love that I did it. I had a great experience with it. But it is, I did it for a long time. So glad I did it. Unbelievable experience. I would encourage anybody who's interested in sports and their kids' sports to get involved and coach, and experience like no other. But I enjoy now sitting and watching my girls play, whatever they're doing. And that's another thing about the beauty of women's sports is my oldest is a field hockey player. Her senior season, she was a 3-year starter as a goalie. She got 2 field hockey games. And I looked at her before her second of last field hockey game. They went right to a semifinal and a championship game. They lost it. And I looked at her and said, I'm going to see you play a ton. I'm going to see you play a ton. The world has changed. There are leagues now for women to play in. And she's playing them. She's playing into this summer. And I love how women's sports has evolved in that way. We have a long way to go, but.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Rob, we really thank you for your time. Congratulations to you on your previous success and the difference that you're making. It's got to feel incredible. And that really radiates through you when you're speaking. And keep up the good work, man. Very cool. Thanks for joining.
I appreciate it. For anybody who wants to see what my mission is, go to robstoker.com. You'll see it right on there. My mission is to get U.S. lacrosse to mandate headgear in the game of girls lacrosse. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. The sooner the better. Before it happens, there's going to be more and more head injuries that could have been avoided. So go to my website, look at it, buy my book. It kept it at a $10 price point, and I think you'll like my story. It's not just a story about headgear. So I appreciate you having me on, bro.
Well, thank you so much, Rob.